Dear Ecosians, welcome to this 28th tree update. And this tree update is entirely steered by you because we asked you what questions you have to Ecosia's tree team. So the whole team, Melissa, Katarina, Antonia, Edmund and me are gonna answer your questions.
Hi everyone, my name is Melissa and I'm a tree planting officer at Ecosia.
Hi, my name is Antonia. I'm the account manager in the tree planting team at Ecosia.
Hello, my name is Katarina. I'm focusing on the social and economic sustainability of the projects.
Hello Ecosians, my name is Edmund Muller and I work at Ecosia as a tree planting officer.
You guys have been asking a lot of questions regarding our revenues during the pandemic and also how the pandemic has been affecting our tree planting partners. App Cooper on Instagram has been asking why do we plant less trees than before? And LND on YouTube has been asking about our financial situation during COVID. Well, the two questions are very well linked because indeed we had to slow down our tree counter. So there are actually two reasons why we had to slow down our tree counter. The first reason is because our revenue went down. So in order to make sure that all of our partners are still being paid, we had to spread out our payments a little bit. And the second reason is that our tree planting partners also had to respect some social distancing rules, which slowed down tree planting efforts on the ground.
Some of you have asked how this affected our tree counter and actually how does this tree counter on the website work at all. Every time when we pay our partners for their work, every payment represents a certain amount of trees. When we have a contract of a value of 100,000 euros and it plants 400,000 trees, then every euro that we pay represents 4 trees. That doesn't mean that those trees are at that very moment also put in the ground. Sometimes the trees are already put in the ground because we pay them for work that's done, and sometimes the trees still have to be put in the ground because we pay them upfront for nurseries and things like that. The tree planting work normally starts 3.5 months after the first payment is made. The tree counter on our website never shows more trees than the number of trees that we paid for to our partners. So does that also mean that the number of trees is actually the number of trees that's in the ground? Well, sometimes it's less because we paid a lot of preparational work and the trees still have to be put in the ground. But sometimes, and this is in particular in summer, when a lot of restoration work is going on in the African countries, the tree counter is actually lower than the number of trees that is in the ground. Because of this combination of stabilizing income and delays in some of the planting, we decided to slow down the tree counter in November, December, because I wasn't sure we could stick to this commitment that the tree counter was actually representative of the number of trees we paid for. In the coming years, there will be times where sometimes we have to slow down the tree counter a little bit to not overclaim what we're actually doing. But there will also be months that the tree counter will be faster than ever.
To answer your question, Chris Crosser, what is the exact goal of planting? Is it planting as many trees as possible? As much as we want to maximize the amount of trees that we are planting, it's not just about planting as many as possible. We want to make sure that it's also about quality. We want to make sure that we're planting the trees in the right way, meaning that we want to make sure that the trees are planted in the right place, with the right species, in the right communities, and also in the conditions that will make sure that the trees are thriving for many years to come.
Some users asked us, how do you determine where to plant the trees? Well, this is not decided by Ecosia, but by our tree planting partners. So it's really a bottom-up process. Ecosia does, however, has certain requirements regarding the location of the tree planting. For example, we don't want trees to replace food production. So we only want to plant trees on locations where the soil is so degraded that tree planting is the only alternative. Or in areas where formerly trees were growing and they are not coming back again in a natural way. Or thirdly, in agriculture areas where food production has decreased due to a decrease in soil fertility. So you could add some trees here, increase soil fertility and increase food production.
So to the next question. Rosie Bellamy, you asked us, does Ecosia plant other vegetation in certain areas? Could plants that are not trees be more beneficial than trees? Yes, that's absolutely true. So we plant trees in intercropping systems, for example in combination with cereals and beans, so that farmers don't only have to wait for the products from the trees, but also have some other products in between. Bamboo is also very important because you can eat it, like bamboo sprouts, and it's eaten by animals like the chimps and gorillas, so it's important to protect the local biodiversity. Because it grows so much quicker than trees, and because you can continuously harvest it, we hope that we find a way that bamboo is used instead of usual fuel wood from trees, because that often involves cutting down trees.
Perhaps the most popular question was, can you show us some pictures of trees after several years? Well, most of our projects are still young, so several years old, and some even 1 year. But maybe more interesting is to see, like, is tree coverage really increasing at the location where we do tree planting? Well, we have two ways to do that. Either by going to the field and checking in the field, are the trees still there? And how are they doing? How are they growing? And in the previous tree update, I explained to you about the mobile app that we use to collect the field data and send it to our database. That's one way. Another way is using satellite imagery. So using satellites to check on a bigger scale, how are the trees doing? Is tree coverage really increasing within the locations where we do tree planting? Loads of users asked us, what can we do and how can we help with the tree planting? And of course, that's great to hear. So many people that want to do something and help with the tree planting. But unfortunately, Ecosia cannot offer volunteer positions. And why? Because we don't do the tree planting ourselves. Our tree planting partners do that for us. So if you really want to do something and help with the planting, the best way you could do is contact one of those tree planting partners, which are on our website or in our blog. Contact them and ask them if you can help.
So, for example, we have a program called Ecosia on campus, where we support students at different universities to start campaigns in order to get their schools or university to switch to Ecosia as their main search engine. So this is one way that we can spread the word about Ecosia and expand its use. And of course, just telling your friends about it and why you like it.
This was it. This was Tree Update 28. A bit longer than we usually make them because of all the questions you asked us. Please keep them coming, keep on asking these questions, critically follow our work. You should really know that some of the comments and questions that we were asked have directly resulted in changes on the ground on how we work with our partners or the design of the project. I hope that 2021 will be a much better year in many regards for all of us. But I also hope that we can continue working together this way, where we connect the users of the search engine Ecosia with real tree planting impact on the ground and with all the great partners that we're having. Thank you very much.